Thank you for joining the cloud. We have a special guest today joining us, the multi-talented Bennett Abara, aka Amanda Miller. She's not only the voice of Boruto, but famous for her role in Sailor Moon voice in Jupiter. She's an actress, comedian, and God knows what else, because she says that she does side hustles. So we are definitely honored to have you on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. And just to clarify for anybody, the name thing is a new thing within the past couple months. So basically,
Oh,
I had been Amanda C. Miller for a while, and then I tried to sign with a new agency, and I was trying to get into some like databases and stuff, and they're like, your name is basic, and it's too similar to some other actresses. So there was another Amanda Miller at my agency.
what voices does that Amanda Miller play? Because in my personal opinion, you'd probably be like the bigger voice actor playing
Oh no,
Boruto.
I think she's an on-camera actor. I actually haven't looked
Okay.
up what she did, but my agent was like, "This is gonna get too confusing."
Okay, all right, true. I said your name before we started the pod, Amanda Abara. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh yeah, Bennett Abara.
Bennett
Yeah.
Abara. Sorry, I said
Oh,
Amanda
good.
again.
You can call me Amanda. You can call me Bennett. Bennett's just a way to kind of keep it straight with the union, where like
Right.
nobody else is gonna have that name, so my checks won't go to somebody
unique.
else. My credit won't go to somebody else. And
Did you have to legally change your name?
no. So
Okay.
at home, I'm still Amanda.
Yeah, I was kind of focusing on the last name because Abara and Bara, which is my YouTube name, is kind of like similar.
I saw that. Yeah.
Me and Mello was talking about that.
Yes, yeah, Discord, yeah, crazy. So I wanted to ask you, I guess we could start off with your upbringing. One of the things I kind of looked at one of your prior interviews. You kind of talked about how you were a military kid, and of course, I want to ask you about your upbringing. So, of course, if you want to tell that to the audience now.
Yeah, so I was born in Germany because my dad was in the Air Force. So we popped around a lot as a kid. So when people ask like, "Where are you from?" or "What's your hometown?" I'm like, so there's like pros and cons to being a military kid. So one of the pros is that I got to, move around a lot and experience the world in a way a lot of other kids might not have. And then also my mom is from France, so that's like a whole other thing. Like she's like born and raised there and met my dad because for some reason she went to Texas Tech for her foreign exchange thing to America.
Oh, okay.
Could have gone to New York or whatever. She's like, I'm gonna go to, was it Abilene, Texas?
I have no idea. Texas is so big.
Yeah, it's huge. If you're ever on a road trip, Texas is like the majority of your time driving across the country.
It take a day to drive through it. It's insane.
Yeah, a lot of times when you talk about Texas cities, you just gotta say it's close to this major city. Like it's this far from Houston,
like
or this
Dallas,
far from Dallas.
Houston, Austin.
So, I wanted to ask this question. This might be like probably one of the most least serious questions of the pod or something like that. But I want to ask: is there any comparisons that you'd have as like a military daughter to like Boruto? Technically, in the series, he's like a military son because he's the son of a ninja. Is there any comparison?
That's a good question. So my dad, thankfully, he was in the information wing. I forgot. It's been a while. So he didn't get deployed, thankfully. So, but I know like a lot of my friends, their dads did. And I think there definitely is a lot of parallels of like, not absentee, because the thing is he's working, like he's trying to provide, he's trying to do good things. But at the same time, it is very similar to a military kid upbringing. That was very astute. Yeah. It's hard because the kids don't always understand that their parent is doing something important, something noble, for the greater good. They're just like, my dad's not here. So thankfully, I personally did not have to experience that. Like he went on a couple business trips and stuff, but that was the extent of it for me.
Okay, that's cool. Another thing I kind of noticed when I did like a deep dive into some of your previous interviews, you said that you were 1/3 black, so you are officially a cloud ninja.
Yeah, so I always thought I was half black because my dad's black. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm half. But then I did Ancestry.com. They're like, you're like 33, 35%. And so I was like, how can you be a third? So I guess my dad, he's from Louisiana, so there's some of that like Creole thing going on there. So maybe I got some.
Oh, that's fine. I'm half Haitian as well. My father's Haitian.
Oh, okay, nice.
I'm mixed with a bunch of things, and I say if you at least a quarter, any percentage black, you black. That's how I feel about it.
I get to be part of the club.
I did have a question for you as well, though. I saw that you were a fan of Naruto, like you read manga and you was into like anime coming up. Um, Knowing that you're the voice actor of Boruto, did you have like was you nervous auditioning for the role because of watching Naruto and the English voice actor being so good at the role that she played?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching like Sailor Moon was more my jam, so that was also kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I saw
But
that.
Naruto, I watched like the first couple, I want to say seasons, but I know that's not even dipping your toe in the water. It was like the first 100 or so episodes, back when it was on Cartoon Network when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, like this show is like really cool. And then like years later, I didn't realize he had a son. I didn't realize all those things. So when I got the audition, I was like, what is this? Is this a movie? Is this a spinoff? Like they didn't really explain to me. So I kind of didn't know how big his role was going to be. You know,
you didn't know you was going to be the main character?
I didn't know. I guess it wasn't explained to me that it was going to be its own show. I think at the time it might have just been like the movie or something.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, like I'm in the movie. That's really cool. But then we actually started once I got the role. They called me the next day and they're like, all right, we're starting tomorrow. We're doing the video game. So that's actually the first thing I did was was it Road to Boruto? Whatever the first game Boruto's in. That's the one we did. But it was, once I realized that, yes, it was very like, oh my gosh, like the pressure dawned on me of like, oh, this is like a show that's been running forever, like over a decade, and people grew up with it. They love it. It's like it's like they grew up with Naruto. Like he's a childhood friend of theirs. And so there's this sense of like, cool. And my character is always like, Naruto sucks. You're the worst dad. So, but
and you talked about Sailor Moon, like, you know, you grew up watching Sailor Moon and stuff like that. So like in hindsight, do you have like any regrets on your performance of Jupiter?
There's like, I feel like you with any show, you'll see like the first couple episodes, the voice actors sound different than they did like at the end of the show. And that's usually because we're trying to kind of find not just like the voice placement, but like the heart of the character. So like, you know, you'll find that characters might start out a little bit more like tentative, and then suddenly we're like, oh, okay, they're quirky, or oh, okay, they're the big sister or whatever. So I feel like it took like, I feel like once we got like to like episode like 29 or so with like Sailor Moon, suddenly I feel like it was like, okay, like I kind of found her more. But there was an episode I was watching recently where I was like, yeah, I wish I had done differently with her and with Boruto. There's a lot of efforts that I feel like I've gotten stronger in my voice throughout the years, and I'm like, oh yeah, I would do that better. Because there were times where I'm just like, and it's just like it's very repetitive, and so now I'm like a little bit more support to my voice now. So I think there's definitely that kind of stuff I would go back and do again.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Because I was very interested in that because like, you know, it went on for a while, and like, what's the difference between being like, I know Jupiter, I'm not really a big Sailor Moon fan. I'm not going to lie to you. My sister was more of a Sailor Moon fan, so I'll watch Dragon Ball Z and then she'll be watching Sailor Moon. So like I caught a little bit of it. Like how does it feel going from like not per se a side character, but to a main character now?
No, I mean that it's true. She's in the main cast, but she is not the main character. The show is Sailor Jupiter. Like she's you know, like she's there, but like a lot of my lines in Sailor Moon were in unison with the other four girls. So like Sailor Moon was the lead. So it was definitely it was a lot more heavy lifting to be the main like title character in the show. And I think it's fun because you get to, as an actor, you get to be with this character on a journey that side characters might not necessarily get to go on. Like when you have like your you know, your side characters here, you're like Master Roshi is like the pervy one, or you know, Krillin is always, you know, the Yamcha is always dying. I don't know, like you don't really get to dive into things. And yes, I know that's Dragon Ball Z. If anybody's like, that's not Naruto.
No, that's one of my favorite.
We love Dragon Ball Z. We love Dragon Ball Z over here.
So like you get to be like with Boruto, I get to see him when he's like being cocky. I get to see him when he's pretending not to be hurt. You know, like the nuanced feelings where he's like, I'm fine, I'm totally cool, but inside he's like crying because his dad didn't show up to his like soccer game or whatever. Like there's I get to be with him when he's like, what is he like when he's angry? What is he like when he's protective? What is he like when he's afraid? So there's so many shades that you get to examine and explore of a character when you are the lead or one of the leads versus being supporting characters. So it's been a really cool journey. We've done almost 300 episodes, so it almost feels like he's my little brother, and I've got to watch him grow up and mature over the years.
Right. Okay. So y'all did finish everything as far as like before Two Blue Vortex?
Yes. So we are caught up. I don't know what have they released so far, because I feel like there's a big lag of what we've recorded versus what they've put out.
Yeah, so go ahead, Bar.
You talking about anime wise, what they put out?
Yeah.
For the dub, I guess, at least.
I think they're all caught up with the dub, if I'm not mistaken.
I've seen all the dub. We have all of part 1 finished.
Okay. Okay. Because there was a while where we had been like recording like 1 up through 170, but they'd only released like 1 through 50 or something, and people kept asking cons like, when's it gonna come out? And they don't tell me.
Yeah. It's been pretty recent, I believe.
Okay.
There were some other manga chapters after that point from the anime. Did you ever get a chance to record any of that? Wow.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, I don't think so.
Like, for example, I don't necessarily want to spoil you. Are you like following the series and not necessarily wanting
So
to?
I want to read the manga because my boyfriend's not an anime fan, but he would come to cons with me and he wanted to understand what the heck they were talking about when they'd come up and ask questions about Boruto. So he binged the entire show and then read the entire manga. So now he's this huge Boruto nerd and he's like, oh my gosh, it gets so good, but he's trying not to spoil it too. But I'm excited because I hear it kind of matures a little bit, like it becomes a little bit of like darker or a little bit more grown up. So I'm excited for that.
Pretty much. Have you watched Attack on Titan before?
I watched like the first episode or so, but I was not in a place. I'm like, look.
Yeah, I was gonna compare him to Aaron. I was gonna compare him to Aaron, but okay. But it's not kind of like that how he matures. I don't know if you really know him, but he matures.
I haven't seen it either.
Super sad, but yeah.
Yeah, because that was going to be a question of mine too. Is like I was going to leave it for like later on in the pod because Boruto, you know, as a child, he's more childlike. But in Two Blue Vortex, I hate to spoil it for you, but you're gonna see it anyways. But he's more stoic. He's more like edgy now. Yeah. So I was wondering. My question was going to be like, how are you going to like portray that, like a more edgy side of Boruto, rather than like his kiddie side?
I mean, I feel like that'll probably be in the writing as well. Yeah. Like in the sense, and also just like that's kind of the thing with dubbing is that they've already animated it. So there is a sense of like, you kind of match the emotion that's on the screen. So I kind of won't necessarily know until I see it, but like, yeah, Kid Boruto, his emotions tend to be like, oh yeah, like everything's super cool and whatever. But then like if somebody says something, he's like, whoa, what are you talking about? And he just gets like, you're like, blows a gasket. It's just like, I don't care. No, like.
Yo, it's crazy like hearing Boruto right now. It's just
I know it is.
The weird thing is with Boruto is that his voice is one like character wise is probably closest to my natural voice than my like girl characters.
Yeah, I actually noticed that. I seen like a 5-minute video of you playing like multiple different roles, and it's like most of the boy versions that you play sounds a lot like your actual voice.
Yeah, I think it's like my voice is more like mid-range-ish already, and so it's a little bit easier to kind of just be like, yeah, you know, like whatever. Like, whereas like my girl voices, I'm having to kind of put it here and be like, it's weird. It's more work for me to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Like, so, but yeah, I'm sure it'll probably be deeper. I don't know how much deeper because it's only like 2 years in the future.
Yeah, I think it's three.
Okay.
Could be 2.5, just similar to Naruto Shippuden. I don't necessarily think the timeline was like fully laid out yet, but I'm assuming 3 years though.
Well, didn't she do the flash forward scene?
Yeah, we did that at the very beginning, but I feel like you never know because like that was the very first thing we recorded in the show, and so I'm sure.
So you voiced that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because I know that they said Michael.
Swami.
Yeah.
Kawaki. Yeah, he's Kawaki's voice actor. If I'm not mistaken, he said he didn't voice that flash forward scene.
Yeah, there was a replacement of the
Right.
original actor, but yeah, he will be in it. As far as I know, will be in it moving forward. I think it's more to answer your question though, because I feel like I've been kind of skirting it. To me, I feel like voice tends to come from a difference in the interpretation of the emotions. So if he's more, like you said, he's more stoic, it'll probably come out in the sense of like, it sounds like you're saying like he just doesn't find things as funny anymore, or is like he's kind of just like something has happened to him, he's like traumatized, or is there kind of a
He's very direct and serious. He has like a set path, and nothing else is kind of intervening with that.
Like Gohan after he came out of the time chamber, or I forgot what it's called, but in the Cell Saga, Gohan during the Cell Saga.
Does Boruto become more of like
When
a
he turned
little
like Super
Sasuke?
Saiyan 2.
Yeah. He's kind of like Sasuke and Naruto mixed.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
but he's definitely not like emo or too edgy. But he just like he's very mature.
He's very
now.
serious.
Okay, but he's not just like, oh god, I gotta stay in my room all day. Leave me alone.
Yeah, he still has that soft side to him. So
we saved that one for Kawaki. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, the big dog. So what's it called? We were talking about the voices potentially being deeper. One of the criticisms for your part one voice is it's like not deep enough. In my personal opinion, some of it could be a little bit overblown because he is a kid. But
Yeah.
how would you respond to some of those criticisms? In my personal opinion, I think that you probably get a lot of directions. But how would you respond to that criticism?
Well, I will say that we did get different. There were like 3 different directors in the first like 13 or so episodes, and in like the video games, like they were all like different people. So we're kind of getting like, we were kind of figuring out like, do we want him here? Do we want him here? Like, it's like, so there is a sense of, we kind of like, I feel like found a place that was comfortable. I personally feel like the younger a character is, I don't think he would sound deep yet. And part of that is because it's like voice nerd stuff.
Yeah,
but like
he hasn't went through maturity yet.
Yeah,
it's like kind of like sorry to cut you off, but like it's kind of like the Boondocks. I don't know if you ever watched that, but Huey and Riley, they're voiced by a female voice actor.
And another thing too, it's like a lot of people think like, oh, doing a boy voice, you gotta do this. I'm like, what little boy? If I knew a little boy walking around who was like, hey mom, got any fruit snacks in the fridge? Like, I don't know. To me, there's like texture. It's funny because I realize I'm like kind of sounding like Miley. So Miley has that naturally. So Miley is the voice of Naruto. So she naturally has that texture to her voice. So she's not putting it on. But a lot of people, a lot of female voice actors, when they do a boy voice, they're like expected to put on this like texture that like I just don't feel the need to do, because when a boy and a girl, before they hit puberty, their voices tend to be the same frequency.
Yeah.
So that's like a sciencey nerdy thing, but if you look it up, they're a very similar frequency until a boy goes through puberty. That's why a lot of female voice actors voice boy characters, because it's easier to have a female voice the character because our voices won't change. Whereas a boy going through puberty, every year you're going to have to recast him if the character is staying the same age, but the actor is getting older.
True. Right.
Yeah, true. So you don't follow the manga at all, as far as like, even when you were doing the voice acting for the beginning of the series, like you didn't follow the manga at all?
I did in the beginning, but I just got lazy because I have to buy everything.
Oh man,
So,
just go on Viz.
Yeah. It was I couldn't get my own episodes or whatever. Like in the beginning, I think they would send me stuff and then they just kind of fell off. So I was buying them on Amazon, like trying to buy the episodes and whatever, and then the manga. I'm like, over time, I'm just like, I don't have the funds for this.
So if you did like one of the mangas that you did read, if you happened to read one of the mangas before the actual like episode was actually before you actually voiced the episode, did you read it and try to like come up with ways to voice the character as you was reading it?
Not necessarily. They did do that though from when we were doing promotional stuff. They would always have us like read the manga and then they would try to animate it, and it was always a little I feel like we always were a little awkward with that. But yeah, no, I because I don't think I'd started reading the manga until after we had already started recording. sorry, it's been a while. My brain's like trying to think of like what the order of
It
things
came out
was.
so long ago, so
Yeah,
don't. You're fine. You're
Yeah,
fine.
there's so many anime that I've watched that I think, like Dragon Ball. I grew up with Dragon Ball. I haven't read the Dragon Ball manga,
Mm-mm.
so I completely understand. Like you can
Yeah,
find
I get it.
Yeah, true.
like different things. But
I
I
heard
did
this-
want to say though about your character's voice. I actually have the exact opposite. I actually love Boruto's kid voice,
I do
and
like that.
one of my favorite is Chocho. Chocho's voice actor is
Yeah.
amazing. Like the Valley Girl accent is just perfect. So
No, she's
yeah,
great.
there's so many like characters who it's funny because I kind of had like the inverse with Mr. Schwabe.
Yeah,
What's his
Kawaki.
name? Yeah.
Yeah.
But just seeing his work, just a greater appreciation for that. But there's just so many great things I think the dub does that kind of makes it its own thing and separate from the Japanese continuity that I do appreciate.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. So like the Chocho thing I mentioned, right, with the Valley Girl accent, you don't get that kind of humor. That kind of it almost in a way changes the character to a certain extent in the dub version, or you'll
Okay.
get certain a character like I think Kawaki would express something a little bit differently that would show his characterization in a different way, give a different dub. So it's stuff like that I appreciate.
And that's stuff that I miss, you know, like when you're watching the Japanese, I don't necessarily know. I was like, oh, I assumed that she was kind of like oh my God, like, hey, but just in the Japanese. So that's cool. I didn't know that was like a choice that the American actress made. Because I think it's great. Like she's just like, oh my God, it's so hard being me, being this hot.
It's almost exactly. In fact, it's the thing that made the character so endearing to me. So
Confident.
He's a big Chocho fan.
She's funny. I love her.
Amanda,
thing that
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bar.
No, I was just gonna ask with the directors thing. I remember you said there was like 3 directors, and I remember Kawaki's voice actor said that it was kind of like hectic with like all the directors. Was it like difficult to voice Boruto with all the directors and changes and stuff like that?
Sometimes, because sometimes you have directors who come on who like you've worked with before, so they know the character, you know the character. But then there were other directors who would come on and they'd be like, "Is that how you pronounce it?" And you're like, "We've only been doing it for 200 episodes, but okay." You know, like, so there were definitely times where like a new director would come in where there would be a little bit of maybe butting heads with the actors and the director sometimes. But for the most part, I think everybody was really good to work with, because they had to have different ones, because at the studio, it just depends on what's being recorded that week and who's available. So we probably had 4 different directors throughout the show. So you'd have like 60 episodes where you work with one person, and then suddenly one day you're like, oh, hey, I'm working with this person today. Oh, okay. So yeah.
That's crazy. Another one with Boruto. I want to ask, in general, what was your favorite scene to actually do in the 170 episodes?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to remember like a favorite scene in the sense of like there were so many that I really liked. One of them, I don't want to spoil things, but I guess people have probably already seen stuff. Well, one of them was one of them was in the movie and also in the tuning exams arc in the show. But I really love when Boruto is just kind of like, okay, cool. Like when his dad shows up and is like, hey, I was really proud of you. But then he has this moment where he kind of breaks down after his dad leaves. Because I love the fact of like, there's like the public side that we show to people, and then there's like what's really going on underneath. So I love anytime that there's like that the chance to do a layered performance. And I also really liked the scene. I can't remember what episode number it was, but it was when Boruto, they're trying to not get revenge for, oh my God.
I think it's I think I know which one you're talking about.
It was on the boat.
It's what's the Bar? You know which one she's talking about.
The boat? What you mean?
They were like trying to get revenge for the death of their friend, but then
the Funado art. The Funado art.
Yes. And so like there's the moment where Boruto is basically like gonna sacrifice himself, and it was like a really fun scene to act, because it's like, you know, I mean, as far as the character knows, this is the end of their life. So it's a very heavy moment.
To be honest, I actually think that's one of the most underrated arcs of Boruto, because that's where Boruto learns about the cycle of hatred. He learns about all the pain that ninjas really go through. And to be honest, like when it comes to like actual Boruto fans, because it wasn't really in the manga, they don't really pay attention to stuff like that. So in my personal opinion, I think that's something that really shaped the character of Boruto. I haven't necessarily heard the dub version of that yet, so I'm pretty sure you did it well. But I hope that scene right there, like encaptures what essentially happened in this sub. Because in my personal opinion, one of the best arcs of all time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, or Boruto specifically.
Like people hate on filler, which I will admit there's plenty of filler in Boruto, there's plenty of filler in Naruto, but there are times where filler is a chance to expand on the character.
Yeah,
if done
exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
To be honest, I have like a different view of the Boruto. I don't really see it as filler. I see it like as anime canon. And I know we talk about it all the time, anime canon and such. But for example, like Boruto's compression Rasengan, people who only watch the manga, when the anime came out and then he pulled that out against Ishiki, it's like they're all confused now. But us, because we watch the anime, because anime canon, we know what it is. We're pretty much familiar with it, and of course, it makes sense in the actual Boruto anime. So I think even in TBV, I think it's gonna get even more drastic, where the anime is gonna have to fill in a lot more of the stuff that TBV just isn't necessarily doing in the manga. And to be honest, of course, I'm super excited to see exactly how you handle it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of hard for a manga to actually encapsulate everything that's going on. So you need filler.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. We did have a super chat. Somebody wanted to say something to you from Jordan Avant. He shot us a $5 donation. He say, "Hey Amanda, if you haven't read Boruto 2 Blue Vortex yet, let's say you're going to feel really sad for Boruto. Let me tell you."
Oh, I love my angsty stuff. I'm a millennial. I grew up with emo music and whatnot, so I'm ready to get back into my feels.
Very nice. Very nice.
This could be interesting because you haven't really seen TBV yet. If you were to have, let's say you were the Boruto writer and you get to pen what Boruto's story is in TBV, what is your ideal role for Boruto?
I mean, I've heard a little bit of what already happens, but basically what I feel like is a good arc for him is Naruto is the journey of a kid who had nothing and had to fight for everything he had. And Boruto grew up kind of with a silver spoon in his mouth. So to me, the idea, a good character arc is always going to be kind of the opposite. So like he has everything and he loses everything, which I've heard a little bit of like what it sounds like he loses. And so I'm like, that kind of seems like it's already where it's going. But I love good character arcs where it's like you put them in a situation that is that character's worst fear, you know. So what does he do, like, you know, or maybe it's the arc of a villain. Like I think it'd be cool, like, you know, some of the people that matter most to him, like what happens if he loses like Himawari or something, like what does that do to someone who normally is like, I believe in friendship and I'm never going to give up on people and I'm always going to try to do the right thing. But then I think that'd be an interesting thing to explore. Something dark. I like dark stuff. I like it when you kill off characters because then things matter.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. There's stuff.
Yeah. So you did do the voice acting for the movie? Because I know some. Okay. Yeah. Did you enjoy doing that? Like, because like I dream of being on a big screen one day. Like, so like I know your face is not on the screen, but you're on a big screen in a very cinematic movie, and it was actually a really great movie. So like, what is the feeling of actually watching the finished product?
I mean, it was super cool because again, it was the first time I had done the main character.
Exactly.
So the movie is my character. I'm like, that was very cool.
So it's like it's your movie. Like that's what I'm saying. So so we did the game first, then we did the movie, then we did the show. So looking back on the movie, it was interesting to like watch it compared to like the tuning arc in the show, because by then we had settled into the voice, and the voices are slightly different because, you know, we were kind of feeling it out. So it was very fun to do, but I never actually got to see it on a big screen. I don't think there were any like. I don't think it was in theaters near me. No, it wasn't. But still. But it
would have been so cool because I got to see the Sailor Moon movies on the big screen. We had a big premiere and everything, and it was so cool. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I want to say that you did an amazing job in the movie. I didn't see it in sub. I actually only saw it in dub.
Oh, okay.
I want to say, you did an amazing job. Like the way you portrayed the emotion in the scenes and stuff like that. Like you did, like when Naruto took the headband off of him and he was sad and he yelled at his dad. Like you did an amazing job. I just want to give you your flowers for the performance that you. Yeah.
I did have a question for you, really quickly. I'm so Toonami, kind of my thing. Sailor Moon was definitely on that. Rock with that heavy. But I know I watched some of it, but I don't remember too much. So
Yeah.
kind of for like the male demographic, which obviously I would imagine Sailor Moon trends more female demographic. What would be your pitch?
I know some dude. I know some guys who are really into Sailor Moon. One of my closest friends.
Fair. That's why I said it like that. That's why
he said Sailor Moon can be
cover
Goku.
my bases.
I want to
Sailor
know
Moon can
what
be Goku.
Yeah, that's the debate.
Oh.
Sailor Mars
I want
to be Goku. I don't know about Sailor Moon and her little heart magic. She needs us. Okay, I'm just saying. She's like, I'm the hero of the show, but she needs her like Sailor Jupiter's got thunder and lightning and flowers.
Ooh,
Mars
make
got
that
fire.
debate happen. We need that debate.
Mars and Jupiter could probably take Goku. I don't know about Sailor Moon by herself without her girls. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Yeah. So what would be your pitch? That sounds like a pretty good pitch right there. Like to convince the male demographic or those males that don't watch.
So I will say it's definitely got a more like, feminine vibe to it. There's a lot of comedy in the show. So if you like the comedy aspects of like Naruto and like Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff, I think you might enjoy. There's a lot of comedic moments, especially in the Viz dub, which is what we did. So basically there was the 90s version of the show that came out and there's a Canadian dub. And it was the 90s, so they weren't allowed to say as much and they had to censor a lot of things. So in our version that came out in 2014, we were able to kind of actually be free and like tell the jokes as they were originally intended. So there's like moments where like it gets a little risque, not crazy risque, but like, like little, I don't know, why am I being like, oh, y'all are pervs? Basically, I'm like, to get guys to watch, I'm like, there's some panty shots.
It's Japanese culture.
My one of my favorite moments in Sailor Moon was cut from the original version because they couldn't say it at the time. Not my favorite moment as in like a meaty moment. It was just a favorite joke or one of them. It was like they were trying to argue which of the girls should play Snow White in the play. And, the smart one was like, I should play her because I need to study and this character doesn't require me to learn lines, so it'd be easy. And then the other one was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm the prettiest. And my character said, well, in the original dub, she said, I should play Snow White because I've got the most talent. And there was like a boing sound effect or whatever. And I was just like, it went over my head as a kid because they were trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
Actually says, which we got to say in the dub, was like, I should play Snow White because I've got the biggest boobs.
Oh, snap.
Like, what? And she's like, want to compare measurements? So it's like, there's some stuff like that. But it's also, if you like action, each of the girls has like a cool different power. You've got like, there's like love and friendship, but you got like lightning, like Jupiter, Thunder, Dragon. Like that's some cool shit. Sorry, am I allowed to swear? If not,
you can.
You demonetized.
Yeah, I know a few dudes who like Sailor Moon.
Yeah, I'm surprised when I go to cons, the number of guys who come up to my table and I think they're gonna want something from Boruto, and they're like, "Nah, Sailor Moon." My sister made me look.
That's what I'm saying. Like I got it for my sister. My sister watched it.
I always remember liking it, and of course, Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, and so we might get the author of Sailor Moon finishing one of my favorite series of all time, Hunter x Hunter. So
really, I didn't know she was still writing stuff.
Potentially,
yeah. Because
something I heard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You never know.
So, it's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but if something happens with him, I think it was said that she knew the story, so she could finish the Hunter x Hunter story.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
So, what other characters have you voiced that's like popular?
So in the Danganronpa, for people who know, it was a video game and then it became an anime. I'm in the video game version. I play Junko Enoshima and Toko Fukawa. For the people who know the game, those are reasonably big characters, but I don't want to spoil anything. But those are really fun to play, and they're both crazy. So I feel like I got typecast. They're like, "Oh, you're crazy. You can play these characters."
Nice.
There's a show
Gundam too.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted. I was just Gundam Ironborn Orphans.
Yeah, I play Ride Mass or whatever. Like he's a little ginger kid. There's a lot of like little like one-off or whatever episodes I was in. I was in like an episode or two of Sword Art Online. I was in.
Oh, you played on Sword Art Online?
Yeah, so I mean, I was like,
Wow.
my character's name was Yulier. She had this weird, like, her bangs were cut a little too high,
Oh,
but
I know you're talking about. Okay.
she's like silver haired, and she's in like 2 episodes maybe. But this is not an anime, but it's probably my favorite project I ever worked on. It was a show called Kid Cosmic, and it's on Netflix. And
Oh, I saw in one of your interviews you talked about
it's
that. Yeah.
it's really good. It's like from the guy who created Powerpuff Girls, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Oh, nice.
You
So-
got me with Powerpuff Girls.
Craig McCracken?
Craig McCracken. So like
Yep.
it's got that comedy where it's like kids will find it funny, but adults will find it hilarious at times where you're like, that went right over the kids' heads, but I got it.
Nice.
It's also got a lot of heart, and it was his first time doing a show that was like episodic, where like the actions of the last episode have an effect on the next one and the next one, and
Right.
the story builds. And there's like, it's my favorite thing that I've done, I think. And it was, I mean, I love Sailor Moon, I love Boruto, but like this was cool because it was my chance
Yeah.
to originate a character
Of
for
course.
English
Nice.
animation.
Of course. Of course.
Can you give me the name of that show one more time?
It's called Kid Cosmic, and it's on
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah.
And it was a great show. We had 3 seasons of it, but I feel like Netflix didn't really promote it as well or something. Like it just a lot of shows get
It's
buried.
still on there though.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
might
I'm
tap
gonna check
in.
it
I
out.
might tap in.
Yeah,
I like
I
that.
think if you like
Chris
Powerpuff
and
Girls,
Kraken?
if you like
Yeah.
that genre, it's a good show, and it's got heart, but also a lot of comedy, but actually pretty good action. And
I'll take that recommendation. Which one is your favorite that you played before? Your absolute favorite?
favorite like character? Or
Yeah, which character is your favorite that you voiced? Let's say that.
of all the ones I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, it varies for different reasons, but I might still say Joe from Kid Cosmic. Or are you saying like, are you saying anime wise?
No, it doesn't.
No,
have to be
either one,
It's
either one.
I think Joe mainly because I got to create that character from scratch. Like with original animation, they base the animation off of you and your performance, and you get to if you do an improv and they like it, you get to it gets to be in the show. Whereas anime, you're having to kind of put your voice onto a pre-existing
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
performance. Like the emotions are already there on the character's face, so you don't really get to dictate what they do. So
Right.
here it was very cool because
You
like
have more creative control.
you get some creative freedom, and I can like go to the writer, and like Craig was in the room for a lot of sessions, and I'd be like, hey, like what do you think about this? And so it was a really fun experience. And also when you go to Netflix, they always have things dubbed into other languages, so it's the first time that I can go to Netflix and the other actors had to dub to me. There's like a Japanese voice actor, so there's a French voice actress, like they're all trying to sound like me. I'm like,
Yeah.
Nice. I did have
sorry,
one question for her. Yeah, so I was curious about your thoughts on the kind of advent of artificial general intelligence and how it's kind of permeating throughout the entertainment industry. Just kind of your general thoughts about that, and are you for it? Are you against it? Yeah.
I think for me, the conversation, it's not really a matter of me being for it or against it because it's going to happen. So I kind of go, all right, well, it's here. What are we going to do about it? And how can we? My viewpoint is every time a new technology has come around, people were scared because they couldn't picture the future. And then something else came that was actually even cooler or that we never thought could exist. And we adjusted and we moved forward. And yes, some jobs became obsolete. I don't know. I don't believe voice acting will if you need a real human performance, I don't think that'll become obsolete because AI, you can watch a YouTube video and you'll hear the voice and the voice sounds like a human voice. But then suddenly you're like, what's weird here? There's just something soulless about it. But if you need somebody to just like narrate your industrial videos where you're like, hey, working at Chick-fil-A, this is how to properly work the fryer. Sure. You might have AI replace for that, or for phone games where you just need somebody who's like, go that way. Yay. Like simple little things. Right. You might have AI replacing some animation jobs for sure. Like I wish that wasn't the case, but I'm seeing it's probably going to happen. But I'm also seeing really cool applications for it as far as like writers. So it's like, I like to write. And there's times where you hit like a wall and you're like, I don't know where I should go with this character. You can take your script and you can tell the AI, come up with 3 different next moves for this character. And it's almost like a writing prompt. Like, it's really cool. It could give you like the character decides to take the gun, the character decides to steal a car, the character decides to, go back to school, whatever. Like, and it kind of gives you and you can be like, give me more, and it'll give you some dialogue. Like, it can kind of spark some creativity, and then you can go, oh, okay, let me try this.
Right.
And I just think that's a cool application for it. There's some times I've used it for my job where I have to do, like, for my day job, I write the English dub scripts for, there's certain like anime stuff, but a lot of it's like Netflix live action stuff. There's so many boring things that nobody cares about, but you have to write the dialogue for it. So for example, we have to dub, like if a show's in Spanish and you're dubbing it into English, there's a sports announcer on the TV in the background of the scene. I have to write 5 minutes of dialogue for an English actor to record so that they can like turn it down and play it, whatever. That would take me like an hour. I don't know sports. I don't know whatever. But I can literally go into an AI thing and be like, hey, can you write me sports dialogue for a soccer game taking place in the 1980s in Spain? And it'll just be like, and so like that saves me time because that's not important. I get to focus on the actual dialogue. But that is something that like AI is really helpful for. Or like coming up with a name for a song. I don't know, like if you're a songwriter, I hate writing titles for books or like songs, but if you go, I wrote a song about this, give me 100 titles. Like stuff like that, I think AI can actually be really, really cool for. So I'm going off on a tangent, but I've really thought a lot about
No,
this.
you're fine. No.
Because if you think about acting wise, before we had the movies, we had theater. We still have theater. I love theater. That's what I grew up in. But you had theater. And the theater actors, when the silent films came out, they were all like, oh, I don't know about this. And you had actors that were like, I will never do that. That's not art. And they didn't learn to adapt. And then their jobs kind of slowly started to fade away when the silent films became, the big thing. So then you had the talkies and the movies with color. Like every time there's a new thing, you have the people who are like, no, this will never catch on. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not learning this new skill. I'm going to dig my heels in. And the ones that evolved and adapted were the ones that had a career. So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, that's kind of like if you want to say like going from cassettes to DVDs, and then now we're going on to streaming. Like I was having a conversation with my grandma before. I was telling her like nobody watches cable no more. Everybody would rather stream. Like nobody's buying, like spending money on cable. They'll rather get Wi-Fi, get their Netflix subscription, get their Hulu subscription to watch their programs that way. So like you got to learn how to adapt to the stuff that's becoming new. Like who would have known that YouTube would be as big as it is?
Right. And and you can never oh, sorry. I was interrupting.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, in 2013, I was watching Black Ops 2 gameplays or something, and like man, so
I was back then. I was watching it too, but I'm just saying, like, who would know it would have been as prominent as it is now? Like, YouTube is a huge platform.
No, yeah, I see it.
Like, people are making like millions of dollars just by doing YouTube.
I think that's a cool thing. It's like it's a trade-off. So AI, there will be some jobs that are lost and some skills that are lost, and that sucks. I hate that. Like I love traditional 2D animation. Like I love the old school Disney movies. But I started noticing the CG moving in. That kind of has gone by the wayside. Like that's been like, the Princess and the Frog was the last one they did, I feel like, and they're just not going to do it anymore. It sucks, but that's the reality. With like the internet, we have this thing where streaming replaced CDs. And that sucks for artists because it is so much harder for a musician to make a living now.
Make money,
because you're getting like a couple cents for every stream on SoundCloud.
It's like 1,000 streams equal one album now. So it's crazy.
But the thing is, yes, it makes it harder for those who are successful to make a living at it, but it makes it easier for people who are nobodies, who don't have a big studio behind them, to put themselves out there and get discovered. So like there's that trade-off of, like you said, with YouTube. Yeah, like there's the death of traditional media maybe happening, but now you have the avenue for people who are like, I don't have money, but I've got a camera and an idea and I want to put it out into the world. And it democratizes creativity. So you might not be able to make as much doing it, but I don't know.
Kind of like SoundClouds for the smaller rappers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did say that you have like main job, like voice acting and acting and stuff like that. It's not like your bread and butter. I don't want to be in your pockets or anything like that. But I was watching an interview that you was doing, and you said like you have to have like a 9-to-5 job as being an actor or voice actor, because you never know when you get your next gig.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that as far as working a 9-to-5 job, and then say Boruto says, hey, we need you to come voice act these episodes. Like, how do you like manage that and work at the same time?
Well, I guess I would say 9-to-5 is probably a lot harder to do, but having some sort of stable income, I guess, or like a secondary or tertiary source of income is going to be, I think, for anybody who wants to act or create, animators, whatever. Work is drying up, then it'll have periods of where everything's booming, like, the streaming boom. You had so many animated projects, you had all this stuff happening a couple years back, and now after all these strikes and after COVID, like now suddenly all the budgets are cut, and now suddenly people in LA are scrambling. You have all these people who have never been out of work, like crew people. There's always been movies in LA. You have crew people now being like, I can't feed my family. So I think 9-to-5 is difficult because you need something that's flexible. So maybe something like if you're going to be a nanny, granted, that's not always flexible because the parents need you there. But like something you can maybe do from home, or something you can do during your own hours. So like as long as the work gets done, it doesn't matter when you do it. That's like the best kind of job. Like my job, they're like, hey, this is the deadline for the date we need this episode done by. So I can choose when I want to work on it during that week.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so that really helps, because if you had a job where you have to be there, like if you're a teacher, that might be a lot harder, because then suddenly you're going to be calling out all the time, and then they're going to so, but you could be a substitute teacher.
True.
I was looking into that at one point, because substitute teaching, they usually they might call you morning of. You're not going to get a session day of normally. They will let you know at least a day or a couple days in advance. They might even ask a couple weeks in advance. So you'll kind of have an idea of what your schedule will be. So jobs like that, where you can kind of pick and choose, like as it works or as it comes, those are good for freelancers. Basically, you want to have just sources of income. Maybe you're a tutor or something like that. You're really good at, I don't know, computer software engineering, and you're like, you can be a consultant, like a coach, something like that, where you can kind of make your own hours, but you don't have to depend on acting, because you might have 6 months or a year where you're not booking anything. Like you're no longer in favor. You're not the it person anymore. And now they want to hear these new voices, and then it comes back to you. Like you just never know. Or your type, like suddenly like ethnically ambiguous is back in, and then it's not, and then it's Midwest. Like there's just so many things you can't control. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, now this guy want to turn on his camera.
It is what it is.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering that. Yeah, because you said that, and one thing I'll email you about it. I really want you to teach me day trading. I also heard that you said that you do that.
I haven't done that in a while, so I might be a little rusty on that. I was doing more, I guess, what would be like swing trading. I was learning how to do day trading, but then I get hobbies for like 6 months or to a year, and then I stopped doing them. That was my hobby during 2020.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily. Me personally, I don't really like to talk about like cryptos or NFTs too much on my channel, because a lot of creators are kind of they aren't necessarily the most responsible with it. But have you been dabbling into the meme coins?
I haven't. My boyfriend's into Sheba Inu or whatever, and like it went up recently, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I made a couple $100."
Yeah, it's going crazy right now.
I'm very. I know. I understand that. Like, it's like I said earlier, I should be an early adopter of the technology, but I'm just like, I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm not going to invest in stuff right now that I don't know what it is, but I'm sure I'm going to miss out. Like I missed out on Bitcoin. So
man, for real, I'm so mad I missed out on that.
Yeah, as long as you're not completely like stressing out over it, I'm pretty sure there's going to be another big thing that you could probably hop onto. But
that's kind of what he's like with Sheba. He's like, yeah, it's kind of a joke, but at the same time, he's like, you know, could go up. And he bought like 1,000 of it when it's like 0.000000, like it cost him like nothing. But he's like, if it ever gets to a penny or something, he's like, I'd make this much. If it gets to $1, I'd make this much.
He's rich.
Hey, so I did also see that I don't know if you are still or not because this interview was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I might be a different person now.
Yeah, exactly. I've been noticing that. You said that you're a comic, and I want to do stand-up comedy. That's on my bucket list. So that's something that you see yourself doing in the future, like in the long run, and like,
It was
do you
something
have
I
any
did-
comic books online?
I did a little bit of stand-up back in before it was probably like 2018, 2019. I like doing sketch comedy, and I do want to do like sitcom writing and stuff like that. I have a couple ideas in the works there.
I saw a commercial on YouTube that you did. I think it said it was a commercial, wasn't it?
Oh, was it the one that was like the dating for ugly people, or like the dating when you're in LA but you look like an average person?
I'm gonna find it for you. Hold on. But it was a commercial because I was doing my I had to do my research real quick. I think I sent it. Actually, I sent it to you guys. Didn't I?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I sent it to you guys. I was showing you her stuff. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up. Sorry for taking so long.
Discord?
It says Amanda C. Miller comedy commercial reel.
Commercial reel. Is that?
I'm gonna pull it up.
Is that my reel of like commercials I was in? Maybe.
I read this from hours of crying about your
Why is it playing?
your servant.
That is crazy. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Oh, one of that.
Because stupid.
That sounds like that was the sketch I was in.
All right, so it's this right here. It's this right here. Hold on, let me see. This one. Does this look familiar to you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so skinny. That's probably like from 10 years ago.
Oh, that's you right there?
Yeah.
You're a veteran in the game.
Yeah, so I had that was a commercial. So I have fake eyelashes on my all over me there because I think it was a commercial that was making fun of Latisse that my friend did. It was like a sketch where it's basically like hair growing all over you. And yeah, this is my first commercial I did when I was in LA.
And I have another one of you too as well. Your audition from 2009. Do you remember that one?
Oh God, that was back when I was in college. It was probably terrible. I don't know.
This is 2009. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yep, it's this one right here.
Look how little I am. I'm so little.
I'm so little.
I can't wait for tonight.
Okay, nah.
The kids are
we got ads. I need premium.
Make their money.
Also, theater auditions are always a little intense. Why was my hair so much bigger back then? My hair doesn't go that way.
And I will be doing a piece from Raised in Captivity by Nikki Silver.
Oh God, Raised in Captivity.
What do you say? I'm sorry.
No, I was just making comments about my hair. My hair was, it was so much bigger back then. Like now, I can't get it to do anything.
Oh my gosh.
So
going down memory lane, I see.
Do you ever go back and watch some of your older auditions?
Not really. I think maybe once in a while I've done it where I was trying to show somebody what my audition was like for a role that I booked, and just show them like, oh, this is what I did for the audition, and this is why I booked it, or whatever. Or, I don't know. But no, I usually I think the only thing I've probably gone back to watch was Ghosts and Stuff Inc., which was like my web series that I did. But I don't think I watched a ton before that. No, that's not true. Okay, there's a show. I used to hide this, but now I think it's funny. The first on-camera thing I did when I went to LA was for a show that I don't think is around anymore, but it was called That's not the show. Sorry, my brain was thinking of another show I did. Pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant. That's the show.
Dang, I was about to say you did a lot of shows.
It was a show of it was called I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant, and it's a reenactment show. And I was so embarrassed about it for a while because
Wait, is it that A&E show? I didn't know I was pregnant.
it was
Is it like a
TLC, I think, and it was
TLC? Sorry, yeah,
and it was like they had like 5 or 6 seasons of this show.
they do, yeah.
Where like there are that many women who did not know they were pregnant until they were in labor. So my character was like this college basketball player, and I had to like shoot hoops, but I was terrible. And like my brother's always making fun of my form when he watches the episode. Like I'm just like, yeah, and like me dribbling and doing stuff. But they also, oh my god, there's just so many crazy stories from that one. I don't know if you want me to get into it, but it was that one is probably one of the cringy ones, but like it's still funny to me. I used to be like, I don't want anybody to see this ever. This can't see the light of day. But I'm like, you know what? We all grow and change and evolve as actors. And
Yeah.
I've learned now how to be on camera and how to not be so over the top. Where I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, Mom.
I know how you feel. I've had some of that on a significantly lower level. Like I didn't want to show my YouTube to my friends when I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
I understand. I still don't want to show them, and I'm grown. So
I think
they're
that's
like, "What's your YouTube channel?" Don't worry about it.
yeah.
You just start mumbling it out. Yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully they don't remember it.
we all have this thing where we're like, oh, haha, look at them. This is so embarrassing. But it's like, I think it's actually cool that somebody put themselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
We learn and we grow and we get better. So I think it's like, I used to be very much like, oh, I'm ashamed. Everything I do has to be like, oh, this is my best work. But it's like, I look back on things and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So like, you don't have to show your friends your old YouTube channel, but sometimes it can be fun to look back and be like, I've learned how to edit better, or I've learned how to get to the point better and not ramble and make my videos more concise, or, you know, like, don't be ashamed of putting yourself out there.
So, oh, my bad, Bar. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just about to expand. Well, you can go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wanted to ask a question. Do you have kids, nieces, and nephews, like younger?
I do not. We are late bloomers in my family. I want kids, but I'm getting up there in age, so we'll see.
Like nieces and nephews. I'm just talking about like younger children that be around you. Like none.
No, my brothers and sisters we're all just like
we're all adults.
We're all adults, but we just haven't
said no to kids.
No. my brother actually he's in my head he's still 7, so it's very hard for me to know what his actual age is. I think he's 30.
I get you.
I think he got married at like 27, so he's actually the first of us to get married. So like me and my sister are in our 30s, and we're still like, we'll get there.
Well, the only reason why I asked that, I wasn't like, trying to dig into your personal life or anything like that. Only reason why I asked that is because I just wanted to know, like, do you get kids that like come to you and be like, oh wow, you're the voice of Boruto, or like things of that nature? Do you ever like experience that in your day-to-day life, like any of your like family members, or any, like, even if you have like a cousin that has a little kid or something like that, and they knows that their cousin is Boruto's voice actor?
We don't have a lot of that in my family, but like absolutely, like at conventions, or like my friend's kid might be like, oh yeah,
like that, yeah, exactly.
like the director of Boruto, his kids or one of the directors is he's always texting me. He's like, my kids have finally discovered Boruto, and like he got me to sign a pop for him and stuff for his birthday. Like, so it's cool that like
that's cool.
Because I think something with Boruto is like it's sometimes the tone is inconsistent, but I feel like it's mostly geared at kids. It's probably not going to be for Naruto fans, because Naruto fans are grown-ups now. So it's for the next generation. And so I think I'm finally seeing like kids who are Boruto's age, kind of like, or younger, kind of like discovering it. So I think Boruto is going to get like a second wind or whatever.
Oh, definitely, especially during like TBV. And then Boruto's been out for so long, so the kids that started watching it are growing up. Like, say if they started watching it when it was like 12, they're like 17 now.
It's just so weird to me. Like, in my head, I'm like, oh, we just started it. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure we did the game in the movie in like 2016.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like 8 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So like when you get to Two Blue Vortex, I think that's going to be drawn in a more of a more mature audience, because it is a more mature feel to the new TBV, because I know you haven't read it and I don't want to spoil anything for you. I know you don't care about spoilers like that, but still.
You know what I realized? she still has to do the prophecy arc stuff.
Yeah,
she still
that's
has
what I
to-
was
yeah.
saying. Like, I thought that's what I was like. Did they animate that yet? And did you voice act
No.
that yet?
They stopped
They
after
haven't
the code
Yeah.
arc stuff.
Yeah, after the code arc, that was
Yeah.
it. But there's still more before Two Blue Vortex. So you
Yeah.
haven't voice acted anything past like the code arc,
I don't
like
think
that
so.
last episode with Boruto and Kawaki's together and his Jogan and Kawaki's little dojutsu pop up. That was like the last
No.
episode at the ending. You haven't done anything past that?
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there might be like they might be working on it, but
I
usually
hope a movie comes. I hope it's a movie.
like a movie before the
Two Blue Vortex. Yeah, I hope because it's not that much. Like, how much more could they animate? Like,
It'd be
it's
pretty
not
cool.
that much left. I
don't know.
hope.
Yeah,
it's a movie.
What is your estimate or your prediction of when the show will come back? Because I've heard people say 2027. Like they're saying it'll be a while.
Mm,
As they're
I
saying,
don't know. I'll let y'all guess because I don't know.
my original prediction was like spring 2026.
Okay.
I thought that'd probably be like a good time to bring it back. But if you're saying 2027, like I wouldn't necessarily think that's completely like outlandish.
That was literally somebody on Reddit. Like, so I don't have any more information that you guys have. I was just like seeing people be like 2027 because it takes this long to do this, and I'm like, I guess. Like, Biz doesn't know. I don't know.
Who would be like the
Honestly,
most?
Well, they say that. Sorry, Mello. They say that Studio Period is animating Two Blue Vortex, and right now they're working on God damn it, one of my favorite. Yeah, Bleach. They're working on Bleach, so I would assume after Bleach is over, then maybe we'll get Boruto next. I'm assuming.
I hope they don't rush it. Like, I hope they're not. They don't. I hope they take their time with it and really put out what they want to put out.
Have you seen Bleach's animation?
Is it good?
Oh my god, it's godlike. Like,
okay,
yeah,
it's
that's
better than real life. It's great.
Yeah, so if they take the time and dedication that they did with Bleach with Two Blue Vortex, or I'm sorry, the end of that Boruto, then it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna blow the previous episodes out of the water, in my opinion.
Okay.
The only person I would think would know that would be what Naruto explained. Like, wouldn't he be like the yeah. I don't know who else would know when it would come back besides him, but he might.
But I saw that as an announcement that Studio Period is working on Boruto. They just working on one anime at a time instead of like doing an overload of like trying to work on like multiple animes at one time. So
yeah, I think she'll do fantastic with the time skip stuff, because like we were mentioning in the anime, it has those anime fillers, anime canon to us. It has those moments of depth, which is why I always say, you know, if you're a fan of the Boruto character and you don't watch the anime, I'm not sure if you're getting the full experience of the character. Yeah. But yeah, so I think there are those moments that you did well, and I think that will translate perfectly to teenage Boruto.
I'm excited. Yeah. It's also more interesting for an actor to do, with like those moments where you are having to play those feelings of like, you know, like maybe you're trying to protect Himawari, but you inside are falling apart because you have bad news or something. Like you found out somebody you love died, like, you know, like those kind of things. And I feel like sometimes in Boruto, the show, you had moments where it would get really close and then they would like pull back on it, where they're like, oh my gosh, somebody's about to die. Just kidding, they're fine. So it's like, I'm excited for like, well, I don't know if I'm excited for actual death, but I'm excited for like
some stakes to be raised.
Yeah, it's the stakes. That's what it is. It's like the stakes will be a lot higher, and it'll be like when you watch, you're much more on the edge of your seat because you're like, oh shoot, somebody can die.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Two Blue Vortex. The tone is fantastic. The pacing is great. I do think it's lacking a little bit in depth.
Okay.
But I do believe the anime, which is the beautiful part, but I always say the anime is the definitive product when it comes to the manga and anime, because it just gives you so much more. So I expect the anime to fill those gaps where the manga just simply can't, for whatever reason, time restraints or whatever the case may be. So I'm excited. I'm actually really excited for the end of part one, really, and then getting into Two Blue Vortex to see your performance.
Yeah, it's gonna come out when I'm elderly. But I'm ready for it.
They'll have it in the home. They'll have it playing on the thing while you play bingo.
For real.
How are we doing on time for you, by the way?
Yeah, we don't want to take up too much of your time.
I ordered some Chinese food, so I'm gonna have some dinner after this. But I don't know why I'm talking like the old folks thing. Now I'm just like, I'm just gonna some Chinese food with my missing teeth.
So we can get our last questions out. We'll let you have your dinner.
Sorry. I'm trying to eat my food. You're talking to me about anime, you whippersnapper.
All right, my last question would be: what is your dream character to play?
Ooh, it depends if it's on camera or voiceover. On camera,
Jack Sparrow.
I would love to play some character that's like not the main character, but like a Felicity on Arrow or something like that, where she's like the quirky like hacker, whatever. Like that would be fun.
I can see that. Yeah.
Or like on like a Joss Whedon show, like the character that like is lovable but gets killed off too early. Like I get killed off before I get annoying. It's kind of like the joke I make where I'm like, some shows outstay their welcome, but like if I die in like the second season, people will memorialize me as like, oh, she was the best character. Gone too soon.
Okay, so sorry, you made the mistake of mentioning Joss Whedon and the Arrowverse. You're a fan of the Arrowverse?
So I watched, I think the first 5 seasons or something, and then after a while, I was like, I think I was getting annoyed because I don't like back and forths with romantic couples. I know that they do that for TV and film where it's like, ooh, it draws out the tension. I'm like, after a certain point, I'm like, y'all need to break up or get together, get married or don't. I'm tired of this crap where you're like, I know why you did this thing, but I don't like it, and we're gonna break up. And I'm just like, all right, I'm done. So, but yes, I was an Arrow fan. I liked the CW for a bit, but that was a good one.
I was more of a Flash fan. When they did the crossover with Flash and Arrow, they used to always confuse me because I wasn't watching Arrow, so I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Early Arrow was amazing. Flash is too.
That was my.
I did never give it a chance. I guess
Flash was too
I'm a
campy.
big Flash fan. It was too what?
It was like too campy for me. Maybe it got
campy.
Yeah, I feel like Arrow was like that brooding.
Yeah,
stakes.
He's basically Batman.
It was like dark. It like darker is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's like moments where you're like he had to like choose between like. Didn't he have to like? It was like he was like 2 of his exes or something like that, and this villain was like, pick one, and he like.
No, I never watched it.
Like it was like that was angsty stuff. Whereas like
until
I feel like Flash was like.
They started pulling out the arrows with the boxing glove, and I had to check out a little bit.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I think I checked out before that.
Just going off of what Bara asked you, do you prefer on camera roles or do you prefer voice acting?
It depends what it is. So I've started finally doing like on camera stuff this past year. So none of it's come out yet, so I can't really talk about it yet. It's like small stuff. I'm working my way up, but I'll be on a couple shows next year.
Okay, I'll be looking out for it.
Well, so it'll be cool. Eventually, I'll like get bigger and bigger stuff. But on camera is very new to me in that sense, and it's interesting because to me it feels easier than voiceover. Because I always tell like my voiceover, because I teach like voiceover classes, and I'll tell them I'm like voice acting is acting. So like they're always like, oh, are you gonna do acting? It's like voice acting is the most imagination you'll need to use, I think, when you're doing any kind of acting. Because like theater, on camera, all that stuff, I usually have a costume. There are other actors that I'm talking to, and I'm looking them in the eye, and I'm feeding off their energy, and like it's so much easier to act naturally like a human, where you're like, hey, I'm a human, I'm talking to another human, when you actually have somebody there. In voiceover, I'm usually in a booth and I'm looking at a microphone, and I have to pretend that I'm talking to a kid, and and over there's a bunch of aliens, and I have to pretend that I'm running, but I'm in my 3x5 whatever booth over here. Yeah. And so the entire burden of the imagination is in my head when I do voiceover.
Gotcha.
So for like dubbing, like for anime, that's a little bit different in the sense of you're seeing the picture, you're seeing who you're talking to, and the challenge there is more of a technical one where you're like, I'm trying to give this emotion, but also you have to do the line again because it was too long or it didn't match the mouth flaps or whatever. So like it's harder to be as spontaneous and in your acting there. But I would say like voiceover, I love original animation the most, where like where they animate to you. So like cartoons that are gonna be on like Cartoon Network, whatever, stuff like that. That and theater, I think, are probably my favorite. But I've enjoyed on camera, but it's we'll see. Maybe if I do on camera and I get like a series regular role where I'm a main character, then I'll be like, oh yeah, no, this is the. I don't want to swear too much.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. Yeah. You're free to talk as you will.
We're Cloud Ninja. Here you go ahead.
But
So
yeah.
my last question is kind of a dweeby one. What's your favorite anime all time? Your favorite cartoon all time?
It's not dweeby.
Wait, okay. So favorite cartoon all time, favorite anime all time. The anime one changes, but there was one that I watched that I was like, I still think about it. Is it my favorite though? I don't. Because like there's ones that like I binged an entire weekend and it was like Code Geass back when I was in high school or in college. But there was one that just sticks with me and it's called.
What about top 5? If you want to make it easier.
Thank you. I was like
top 5.
So
make it easier for you.
Cowboy Bebop, obviously, but I feel like that's a basic answer. Like, but that one's just
legendary.
Such good storytelling. You know, stakes, depth, character arcs, all that stuff. Paranoia Agent. That one is a like psycho thriller. Like you're kind of not really sure what's real, what's not, and it's very much about the nature of. It's Satoshi Kon. He passed away, but it was. I guess I'm dating myself, but it was earlier 2000s. This one, the one that like really sticks with me is Kaiba. So it's Kaiba. It never got a dub, and it's on. I guess it didn't get as much promotion, but it was. I think it's on Crunchyroll. You can find it, and on I believe Peacock on NBC. Okay. But it's like this sci-fi, and I don't normally. I feel like sci-fi is a lot of times not done well, but that one was just like. It's stunning, but it's very dark. Like the animation looks very childish. It looks very much like old school, like Astro Boy, but it was made in the 2000s. So it was made to like what's his name, Tezamu, whatever that animator was, who had like the big eyes and like cute looking characters. But it's so dark. It's very much about like class differences in this futuristic society where you can sell your memories, you sell your body to be used by rich people who are like, oh, I'm, so it's like you have a chip and they like take your memory chip and they put it somewhere else and then they put their memory chip into you and then they get to walk around in this like body. And it kind of it makes you wonder like what makes us us? Is it our body? Is it our memories? Is it our thoughts? Is it our feelings?
What is this called again?
It's called Kaiba. It's Kaiba.
I'm gonna check that out.
You should watch a show called Altered Carbon on Netflix. It's almost exactly like what you described.
Okay. Interesting.
It's really good.
I like sci-fi that does that. Like I don't like sci-fi that gets too much into the technology stuff. I like the sci-fi that's like, how do we use this to tell a story, a human story?
Right.
Okay. I think those were 3, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly you gave me the option. Now I can't think of them.
Well, we got your big 3.
Your big 3. Your big 3 is fine. If you want to just throw out the big 3.
I'm sure I'm missing. I'm sure I'm going to later kick myself, but I feel like those 3 were pretty like, I recommend them. Like, watch Paranoia Agent, go watch Kaiba, go watch Cowboy Bebop, get back to me. Yeah. Code Geass, I guess I really like.
And your favorite cartoon?
Favorite cartoon? So this was one that, like, from when I was a kid that, like, I don't feel like as many people watched it, but it was on Toonami. It was called The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest.
Oh, what? So how did it?
Oh, no, I remember
heard
Johnny
of that?
Quest.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I would say like Johnny Quest, like, from the 60s. I'm like, no, it was from the 90s.
No, Johnny Quest is really Johnny old, Quest, but I think they're playing reruns of that and like Thundercats and He-Man or something like that. This
was from 1996. So they have the Johnny Quest from the 60s, but then they had something called The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and that was I think it was 1996, and it was go look up that theme song. I know you can't because you'd get copyright struck, but I'm just look up the theme song and then just tell me that that's not the most. I was so amped. I was like, I'm like, yeah, Johnny Quest.
Yeah, I remember Johnny Quest. I used to play it on Cartoon Network. It was an older cartoon, right?
Well, they have the older version, but they have the. Well, now it's old, I guess. 96.
What was the cartoon with the dude who was a racer?
That's Speed Racer, right?
Speed Racer. There you go.
No, she's talking about the one They have.
I know who Johnny Quest is though. I know Johnny Quest.
They have like Quest World, and it was like very much about AI in the future, and the graphics are terrible now. But back
like their
then,
hair is white, right?
Hmm?
Like one of the main guy characters has like a red shirt.
Race Bannon,
or-
he had the white hair and the
Yeah.
So go look up the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest theme song, and then you'll know why I dug it. I was like, this is epic. It's for a kid show. It was like people died on there, and I was like, oh yeah.
Very nice.
I'm sure
You seem to like-
there's other cartoons that are
You seem
brilliant.
like seems like death a lot. I'm starting to notice
really
that.
Yo, she has bloopers. I sent you that blooper reel, and she was talking about being hired.
Yeah, hitman.
I love so it's not death, it's that death is the ultimate, like what Mello was saying. It raises the stakes, and I like feeling stuff when I watch shows.
Yeah.
So like it's weird. I don't like people dying all the time, but the fact that they could die makes me go. So like I just finished watching Sopranos with my boyfriend, and I was like, no, I love this character. Like, and so it's like, but knowing that anybody could die, you're always like,
Would
you
you?
know, whereas if you know that they're safe, what is it, like plot armor or whatever they call it, where you're like, oh, they can't die, they're the main character.
They can't die, yeah.
Would you recommend The Sopranos? You're watching.
You should have to watch A Comet Get Killed then, because everybody dies there.
Well, but it's not.
It's in the name.
It's weird. I don't like it when it's excessive. Like even in the 6th season of The Sopranos, suddenly everybody's just pow 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 pow. I'm like, eh.
Yeah,
So
A Comet Get Killed. Don't have a favorite character. That's all I'm gonna say.
So you said something, Mello. You said Sopranos. What I recommended.
Uh-huh.
I would.
sorry.
I don't like crime stuff. So I didn't think I would like it. But again, it's like a human story. It's like this guy's a mob boss, but then like he's in therapy because he's got mommy issues. And like he's got a house in the suburbs with like a teenage daughter and son who drive him nuts. And his wife is like, there's lasagna in the freezer. Like it's that juxtaposition is really interesting of like he's like at work, he's like this big boss, but at home they're like, take out the trash, Tony. Like it's
like
just,
Fred Flintstone, yeah.
like
kind of archetype.
Yeah, and it's like you get to see that like more human side of things, and there's a lot. It's actually very funny. It gets dark, but there's humor there. Yeah, there's other shows I recommend, but those are good ones to start with for now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bennett Abara, for coming onto the podcast. I'm pretty sure.
So much. Appreciate you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. And sorry, I feel like I talk a lot.
No, you're good. You're the guest. We want to hear you speak.
Yeah, facts.
They hear us speak all the time.
Okay.
They hear us speak weekly. They want to hear you. That's who they came to hear. Can you give us? I hate to ask, but can you hear Boruto one more time?
Okay.
Just for the fans.
This isn't the lame era you grew up in, Dad.
Oh my!
Nice. She just turned it on.
Love it.
Crazy.
Love it. Just turned it on right there.
That's a pro right
Turned
there,
it
people.
on right there. Yes. Do you have anything that you want to promote? Anything you want to let the people know that you're working on?
Yeah.
Like anything you want to throw out there?
Well, if anybody's in the Houston area, I will be at NostalgiaCon in like 2 weeks. So like December 6th through 8th, I'll be at NostalgiaCon in Houston. And then the weekend after, I will be at Anime Week in Atlanta, Georgia. And then
okay. You said the following week after that?
Yeah, so the December 14th or so, like that week. Hold on, let me see. I'm not sure what date it is. So it is December, I think.
Because Mello, he's around in that area.
Okay, yeah, that's where I live. I live in Georgia.
Nice,
So 12 through 15th or 13th through 15th. But either way, yeah, it's Anime Week in Atlanta, and then the next con I have is not till like April, but I'll be in Vegas at Level Up Expo. I believe
that's closer to me. So Vegas when?
I believe it's April 24th through
April 24th?
April 24th through 27th.
All right. I'll definitely mark that on my calendar so I can make sure I make my way to Vegas. I've never been there, so I definitely will go there for a Comic-Con.
Yeah, and I believe it'll be a decent amount of the Sailor Moon cast, and the Sailor Moon cast is also a lot of the Boruto cast. So
oh, really?
Yeah, like Robbie, the guy who plays Tuxedo Mask, is also Mitsuki.
What?
Jeremy, who plays Sailor Venus, is Sarada. Sailor Moon. Stephanie, Sailor Moon is my mom. Hinata. There's a lot of other ones. Actually, I need to make sure that they're actually going. I was told that the cast would be there, so don't
That's really cool.
yell at me if they're
That's
not.
really cool. That's actually weird. Before we go, it's like a little nerd thing. I think the OST for Sailor Moon Crystal. I haven't seen like the dub. I'm not sure if they share the same soundtrack with the Japanese, but it's actually the same guy who does the Naruto soundtrack as well. So that's
That
another
makes
parallel.
sense. There's a
Yeah.
lot that sounds like it, like in the that makes sense. I'd be like, oh, that sounds like it's from Crystal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man.
But Amanda, thank you for thank you for being on the pod. We loved having you. People, if you're watching later on, she's going to be doing a Comic-Con, as she said, in Houston, Atlanta, and Vegas. I can't remember the dates. I'm so sorry. She said you can just rewind and hear the dates. She just hit that rewind, and you can hear it.
Also,
Anything else? Yes.
Follow me at Bennett
definitely
here, because I don't have them up yet, but in January I'm planning on finally starting to do online voiceover classes. I've been doing them live in Atlanta. Like, so if you're in Atlanta, you can come to those classes. But if now I'm opening it up, so you'll be able to come study with me. And then
follow you where? Is this on Instagram?
At Bennett Abara. So that's where Sorry, I keep trying to do the thing. Here.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Or X.
Nope, it's the mirror. It's mirrored. Okay.
You got it.
Right
you
there.
got it. There you go.
Right there.
But yeah, so if you follow me there, that's where I'll announce it. And then you can sign up on the website. But don't go to the website yet, because there's nothing there about I'm just preemptively promoting it.
And this is on X, right?
Yeah, this is on X, right? That they're following you on. Or
I mean, yeah,
Instagram?
this is Instagram
On
and X
all
and
platforms.
TikTok. I believe
Okay.
so. It should be this one.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you. for being on.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Okay.
I hope you have a great rest of the day. Enjoy that Chinese food too.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
I will. I'm gonna crush it.
Bye.
All right.